live once again. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I did a quick little fiberglass session last night on some custom new mirrors for the car. So if you were here last night, thank you so much. It was it was a little bit of a comedy show. I'm a little bit more prepared tonight, so we're gonna get going here. This is what we're making, and these are Spoon S2000 style mirrors. They have a fancy blue tint to the lens. You can see that difference there between the real color and the lens color, so that's kind of cool. We were kind of going over the car just a little bit last night. I will probably go over it a little bit more tonight during some dry time for the filler. So, yeah, let's get going. Let's get rocking and rolling, as we say around here. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe, or at least like a couple videos for me, huh? And yeah, if you want to share it, that'd be great as well. If you're into the fabrication stuff, this is primarily the account for Project Hondarod. I do have another YouTube that's more of fabrication based, and that would be Grey Duck Customs. So you can check that out right there. And of course, shout out my homies at the Drive Cartel. That's the crew we roll with. So yeah, what we're going to be doing tonight is taking the mirror caps from yesterday, which again, fiberglass last night. This is just one layer of 1.5 ounce chopped strand mat. We used polyester resin, and this is just a fiberglass hard coating over some foam shaped mirrors. You can see a little bit of the orange foam back behind there still. And what I'm going to do now is give it a quick scuff, and that's going to prep me for some filler work, and then we'll go over the filler as well. So here we go. Got a couple different tools I use for this. My most favorite tool is the Milwaukee cordless 6-inch sander. This has been a lifesaver in the shop. It is super, super convenient. It works fantastic. I cannot tell you enough about how much I love this new tool. The other tool I use is, again, part of the M12 Milwaukee line. This is the right angle grinder. I do run a 3-inch disc on it, not a 2-inch disc. Got the extended life battery pack. And basically what I'm going to do is just give this a very, very quick knockdown for any high spots. I'm currently using 36 grit, so and again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a rough knockdown. So switch to the 6-inch sander so you guys can see this in action. Simple power on off button. Zoom, zoom. And this I'm running 40 grit. Same kind of idea as the 3-inch grinder. That's a little low. we want a little bit more speed. Let's turn that up a little bit. There we go. Give that a quick wipe down. Should be good to go. So again, this doesn't have to be perfect. All I'm going to do is cover this in bondo, and I'll kind of show you the steps on that one. There are some tricks to achieving what I want on this, and cutting it at a certain time, using the correct abrasive, and then of course using the correct sandpaper. These are what's called soft sanders, so they're slightly flexible, and these are called Adjust Flex Sand, AFS sanders. Very, very similar. They have a little bit of flex. These have a steel plate on the bottom of them, a very fine steel plate. So they do a little bit better job of the long blocking. But we're going to make this extremely quick. This is not going to be, 3 or 4 hours. I'm going to show you guys how to bang this stuff out because it doesn't have to be hard. So, got my hula girl for the hot rod. Shout out my homie Sam out in Hawaii. This is legit. So this is for him. And it's for Ray if you're watching. This is as close as I get, buddy. This is as close as we get. Put her somewhere safe. So the filler I'm going to be using today is Fantastic Body Filler. This is from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. This is the best cheap bondo that you can buy. I've used this on so many different projects. I can't say enough about it. For the $1, you cannot find a better body filler that sands really, really good. I've got a few different plastic bondo spreaders. And again, you can get these from O'Reilly's. You can get them from any auto body paint supply store. And we're just going to mix it up and put it on. You know the drill. So there is a trick to doing custom filler work like this. And when I put this on, mix up the bondo, I'm going to under-catalyze it just a little bit. And by under-catalyzing, what that's going to do is extend the open window just slightly. And we're going to cut it while it's actually not dry yet. We're going to just do a lot of shaping when it's nice and soft. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a minute. So I don't need a ton of filler. We're going to put enough to basically do one side at a time. I'm not going to do the whole thing in one shot. Got our filler down. And another trick of the trade, whenever you get auto body filler, you want to kind of knead this a little bit. Sometimes this turns into a little bit of a liquid. And when that happens, it is really, really crummy when it goes on your bondos. So try to knead that out real quick. And again, we're going to under-catalyze this just a little bit. So I just need a little bit of hardener. And for this particular job, I'm going to use a small spreader. And again, we're going to show you a quick little trick. A lot of guys will just do swirls to mix their bondo hardener. And that's okay, it'll work. What I like to do is kind of fold it. And pull it back. You get a lot of the air bubbles out when you do that technique. So if you can try to fold, and I'm going to put just a little bit more hardener in here. I want to see just a little bit more color than where it's at right now. I have a feeling it's going to take a little too long to cure for what my liking is. And it doesn't need a lot more, so we're just going to add a tiny little line drizzle there. And again, we're going to fold that and knead that back. Pulling that bondo, getting as many of the air bubbles out as possible. It's an old school body trick. And again, I am intentionally under-catalyzing this just a little bit because I want there to be a good open window to cut this while it's nice and soft. There we go. Now we got our mirror, and we're going to start on the top side here. Very, very down and dirty, super simple. I am just going to put a nice skin coat on the whole thing. Try to be as smooth as I can, but ultimately we're going to sand 90% of this off, and we're going to create the shape basically based on a combination of where the bondo is and where the fiberglass is. We'll use the fiberglass as like a stopping point. I don't need to go crazy on this. but I want enough bondo that it cuts in one shot, because we do not need to do this twice. There we go, just like so. And you can kind of be an artist about this if you really want to. Like I said, we're going to sand 90% of this off momentarily as soon as it starts going off. So there we go. That is nice and bondo covered. Another little trick of the trade. I guess I wasn't quite prepared for this next step. Hold on just a second here. I'm going to grab a cup to set this on here. If you guys got any questions, feel free to chip up and ask. It's an open session around here. If you were here last night on the live, you saw that my cups were not balancing very well. And so doing the fiberglass was just a comical thing. But I hope you guys learned something, because that's what I'm doing this stuff for. Not only to show you the car, but to maybe teach you a couple tricks along the way. Fabrication is my full-time gig. It has been for many, many, many years. And there's a lot of tricks that I don't mind passing on to people. So again, a lot of the thing is tool selection. Get yourself some good tools. You know, you can't go wrong with good tools. And momentarily here, I will show you a little bit more of the car while we're waiting for the bondo to go off for just a minute. For you guys new here, this is Project Hondarod. This is a mid-engine street rod using a Japanese H22A4. And this is going to be coil on plug, Haltech 750. Uses a EG Civic subframe in the rear. And then in the front of the car, it sits on 1937 Ford frame rails. And if you can see, it looks a lot like a 33 Ford Roadster. So that was the idea, was to be able to go to hot rod shows, be able to go to import tuner shows, and have both worlds kind of collide. I did build the front suspension from scratch, so that is upper and lower control arms, running Skunk 2 Pro coilovers, little carbon fiber hood insert there. Again, this is what we're working on, is the driver's side mirror. And you can see there's a little bit of body work that's been done on the car. Since the last time it was on the road, I have moved the door line forward 1 inch. It's actually about 1.25 inches, but it's all good. So got a NACA duct on the side there. That's off of a Le Mans 24-hour car. Got a sweet manufacturing steering rack. Got a fancy Kubota tractor headlight switch. Got the Haltech digital dash. This shifter is actually out of a 2003 Mini Cooper S that's been highly modified. And down in the foot box, we have a set of Willwood triple pedals. And the seats are from a Honda Del Sol. So that's about the gist of the car. It is a riot. Smiles per mile. It is nothing but a good time. The engine is the big change of the year so far. It did have a D15B VTEC, which is about 120 horse. This is about 225 now going into it. So the car weighs 1,900 pounds. And so this should be basically about as fast as a Corvette when it comes to performance. Here you can see a little bit more of that door line that was modified. Pretty awesome. And I'm going to check on our bondo here to see how we're doing, because I want to catch this at a very, very, very certain time. If you let it go too long, it is very difficult to sand. If you get it too early, it gums up the paper. So there's a very, very, very narrow window. And here's where we're sitting right now, where it's just starting to kind of gel up a little bit. So I've got just a few more minutes to go on the bondo stage. Little trick of the trade, if you can catch your bondo before it goes off, and you have some acetone around, you can clean all of your bondo off your spreaders real easy. So I'm going to actually go do that real quick. And if you can keep your bondo spreaders clean, you can reuse them over and over again. A lot of people will accidentally leave the bondo sit on too long. And when you do that, obviously your spreader goes in the trash afterwards. Unless you want to scrape it off, but a little bit of acetone cleans the bondo residue right up, just like so. And our spreader is good as new, just like downtown. So I can tell we are getting very close to the window for sanding here based on getting the bondo off the spreader. Get prepped up for that real quick. It's going to go very fast. What I'm using on this is 40 grit sandpaper from Sia Abrasives, available from Express Composites in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And again, these are just AFS Adjust Flex sand and soft sanders. So here we go. We're right at that stage right now where if I can start cutting this, you can see it's going to kind of grate off like a cheese grater almost. You can kind of see that not sanding very smooth. It's kind of falling off. That is the perfect way for you to do all of your shaping, especially on these projects. This is nothing more than a pattern for a carbon fiber set that I'm going to be making of these. So these are not permanent. They're just to basically make a pattern for the mold. And as long as they are close, they will be just fine. One thing when you're cutting the sandpaper, when you're cutting the bondo and it's a little soft, you will clog the sandpaper. So have plenty on hand, ready to rock and roll. Keep extra ammo ready. And you just go to town on it. I've got just enough flex to catch the curvature of the mirror here. And again, I'm going to be using the fiberglass as a stopping point. So as soon as I start hitting the fiberglass, which you can kind of see just a little bit right there, right in that area, that's the stopping point right there. This bondo will go off pretty quick once it actually starts going off. So keep that in mind, that you really only have about a 3 to 5 minute window of actual cutting before it starts rocking out. So do as much cutting and shaping as you possibly can. These are already looking a million times better. And again, once you're close, I mean, we can always do more fine sanding later, but the majority of sanding, you want to get that out of the way right away when it comes to prototype fabrication. And again, there's our fiberglass line starting to come through just a little bit on the edge. So that's a good stopping point right there. Kind of nice with these sanding blocks that have a little bit of flex on these curvy shapes instead of just using a straight long block. Makes very quick work. There we go. pretty darn close. And just like that, we're in, what is that, 5-10 minutes? And I've got a really, really pretty darn smooth mirror cap now. So from here, I will sand this out a little bit more. We're going to do a little bit more fine tuning, and then I'll cover this in a special primer that I use just for mold making. And again, I'll probably show you guys how to make a mold of this too. If you want to learn how to make a fiberglass mold and then learn how to make some carbon fiber parts, I'll let you follow along. Otherwise, like I said, if you do want to go watch the Grey Duck Customs channel, that's more fabrication based than hot rod based, but we are very, 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 very close to the shape I'm after. So I'm going to mix up and do the other side now, and we should have a mirror relatively quickly. And that was the point of tonight's video, was just to show you a couple tips, show you a couple tricks, get a little hands-on in the hot rod project, Got a new fresh piece of cardboard. Save your boxes. And again, we're using that fantastic filler from U-Pull, and this was available through O'Reilly's Auto Parts. It's like 35 bucks for a gallon, and I swear by this stuff for fabrication and prototyping. It is the best cheap bondo that you can buy, hands down. I've tried all the different brands over the years, and this is head and shoulders above the rest of them.